Well, we're back, and look, my friend, ain't she beautiful? I think she is. I know she is.
Both beautiful.
So we're back, and we have we said we were gonna let y'all get to know us a lot more, be a little bit more intimate with us. And
Mhm.
so I want to start with this. As you know, that Wakenia and I both have an autoimmune disease or diseases.
Right.
And I want to read this to you because I want to get it right. Um, it is said that 50 million Americans, not Americas, Americans have one or more autoimmune disease,
Mm.
and approximately 75% of those are women.
Wow.
So, we want to give you a deeper look into our lives. And so today, I want everybody just to know who my friend, my sister, Wakenia is. I want you to see the champion that she is.
Mhm.
Um, I won't go too far into it right now, but I just want to take this time and I'm going to interview my sweet friend
Mhm.
about some of the challenges and some of the victories
Right.
that you have with your autoimmune disease. So,
Mm.
if you remember, I just want to familiarize some of you. Um, Joaquin and I have worked together now for how long have you been there?
It'll be 20 years in November, so 19 years.
Okay. So going on 20 years, Joaquin and I have worked together. And where I know what some people say, oh, you know everything that she's gone through
Right.
since she was diagnosed um, less than the 20 years ago, that's not true.
Right.
Because even if I were with Wakenia 24/7, I still don't know what she goes through because it's what she goes through.
Absolutely.
You know, the good times and the bad as far as health. So, without any delays, we're going to get right to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's get started. Joaquin, I
Okay.
wanted to ask you,
Uh-huh.
tell us what you have and give us a little background as to when and what went on for your diagnosis.
Okay. So I was diagnosed with MS, that's multiple sclerosis, and it's where the immune system attacks the myelin sheath of the nerve. So it attacks it, and so there's all kind of different things that happen. You end up with lesions, and so the more lesions you have, the more symptoms and issues that you deal with. Um, what led to me?
Right. What was the drastic thing that happened that made you go and get the diagnosis?
So, um, it was 2000. I want to say 2012. Yes, 2012. And as it was overseas, and I had gotten into this running phase. I mean, I was like Forrest Gump.
Right.
They were calling me Forrest Gump because
Right.
I had started running and working. I mean, I was running. I was running,
I
was running.
remember.
And at some point during that year, kind of probably around the summertime frame, I started feeling this numbness from like my upper torso to like the lower torso. And when I would get home every day, I was just like, I don't want nothing touching me.
Right.
And I describe it to people as though when you go to the dentist and they numb you
Mhm.
and that you can
Right.
feel it, but you can't feel it.
Right. Uh-huh.
That's what it felt like. And it was
Okay.
just like, just go away.
Right.
So that was bothering me. So I said, well, maybe I pinched a nerve running or something's going on with my spine. That's what
Right.
I thought. So I went to a chiropractor.
Mhm.
Nothing was going on with that. Had x-rays. And then I do remember telling him, I said, well, if you tell me I got to stop running, I said, I'm just going, you just might as well give me that box of
Right.
Kleenex because I'm going to cry because I was so like into taking care of my body and being fit.
Right.
So he said, no, he said, but I just want you to stop running on pavement. I want you to be on something a little softer. I was like, okay, I can do that. So then he sent me to a neurologist.
Okay.
Well, you know what? It wasn't a neurologist. He was a spine doctor,
Mhm.
but he wasn't a he didn't do an MRI or anything like that.
Mhm.
He did the needles, and so
Right.
I was
Okay.
being stuck. And he did X-rays again, nothing going on with my spine. So I'm like, well, what is it? And this whole time I'm frustrated because I don't know what it is, but I couldn't cry
Right.
and I couldn't be like
Right.
sad.
Yes. Mhm.
And so I ended up going to a neurologist. He did MRI, and I don't even remember the time frame really, but when he did the MRI, of course, a couple of days went by, and I remember when I got the call from him, I was out on the trail running.
Right.
I mean, I was out there that evening running, and he calls me and he says, well, Miss Leonard, we got your MRI back, and it seems you have a lesion on your brain and you have a lesion on your spine. And I said, okay, what does that mean?
Right.
And he was like, normally it's like the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis
Right.
because there are multiple
Right.
lesions, but you only have one and one.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, okay. I was like, so what's next? And he said, well, I don't want to do a spinal tap on you
Right.
because I don't want to put you through that. You just have the one and the one.
Right.
And he said, if you want to get a second opinion, get a second
Right.
opinion. I said, okay. So I went to Atlanta
Mhm.
it was a multiple sclerosis center up in Atlanta. Went up there, same thing. And so he asked me questions about my diet, exercise, what was I doing, symptoms I was having, was I
Right.
having any other issues. The only other issue I was having was I could feel numbness working its way in
Right.
through my
Mhm.
fingers, but it wasn't like I couldn't hold anything or couldn't grab
Right.
anything. It was just I had a discomfort in my hands. So anyway, he said, "Well, just keep doing what you're doing." They didn't want to put me on medication, so that was that. I just
Mhm.
kept going, and that went all the way up until from 2012 all the way up until like April, May of 2013,
Right.
trying to figure out
Trying to
what
figure
was
it out.
going on.
Yes.
And it was kind of frustrating, but I prayed and I said, "Lord, you created this body.
Right.
So who better to know what's going on with the creation than the creator?"
Right.
I said, so
Right.
here we are.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So I'm pretending like I didn't know that.
Okay.
I noticed, but I know for me, there's some things that I have to stay away from. So, what are some of the triggers that
Okay.
that affect your MS? Because I know everybody's
Hmm.
could be different,
Right.
different ranges of it.
So heat.
Mm-hmm.
So now that it's hot,
Right.
and I love the outside,
Uh-huh.
but being in the heat aggravates. It's like inflammation. Well, it is inflammation. So it's more so the heat bothers my hands. So the inflammation seems like it's more in my hands and maybe my feet sometimes
Right.
more than anywhere else. It's just these two
Mm-hmm.
places where I really feel like, oh my gosh, I just need to hold a cold towel or give me some give me a Ziploc bag with ice in it and I just hold that and just
Right.
massage and that feels better. Sugar.
Okay. All right.
I know when I eat and I don't. I mean, I've done so much better at not eating candy like I used
Uh-huh.
to. Cause I can eat some Skittles, I can eat some Raisinets, I can just go through some
What's
candy,
the other
right?
one? Hot tamales.
Hot
Hot tamales.
tamales.
Yeah.
Oh, sugar babies.
Uh-huh.
But I know that sugar triggers. It's just sugar. So if anything has sugar in it, even if it's not candy,
Right.
I know. Okay, I just ate, and now I feel not terrible, but I know that my
The
body
hands.
is acting some kind of way.
So the hand things kind of stay with you
Yes,
since the beginning.
yes, and
Okay.
like that's now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So are there are you currently on any medication or any kind of therapy? Um,
Yes.
okay.
So 2016. So I was not on medication for therapy from the beginning of the diagnosis all the way up until 2016. So from 2013 to 2016, let's say August of 2016. Yes, August of 2016, no
Okay.
medication.
Right.
It was just diet, exercise, and just it just was just easy to maintain and kind of cope with
Right.
what I was dealing with. So I had a what they call an exasperation,
Mm-hmm.
where I woke up and I went to the bathroom. It was in the middle of the night. Went to the bathroom and I had to vomit. But then once I finished, I couldn't lay back down because it felt like I had what they call it,
Vertigo.
vertigo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was horrible. The worst I had ever felt in my life. Because every time I tried to get back in the bed, lay down, it was like, oh, gotta go back to the
Yeah.
bathroom. So I go to the bathroom and sometimes vomit, sometimes not. But I couldn't lay down, so I had to sit up in the bed. So my husband took me to my neurologist, and when he heard what was going on, he admitted me to the hospital. First time ever in the hospital since birth, really.
Okay.
First hospital stay.
Right.
So go in the hospital for, let's see, Wednesday, Thursday. It was a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let me go home Saturday. For those days, but 3 out of those days, three out of those 4 days, they gave me steroid treatment.
Right.
So I had steroid treatments. Um, my balance was getting bad because I was losing balance.
Mm-hmm.
And leading up to that exasperation, things were happening, but I didn't really pay close attention.
Right.
I was balance was off.
Yeah, I remember some. I remember some of the falls.
Balance was off. It was just slurring of speech, and I don't know if anybody else noticed when I was talking that I was slurring with my speech,
Right.
but I knew.
Right.
And then we went on a cruise before it happened, and Isaac had to fill out my paperwork
Yeah.
because my handwriting was just I can't write.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that this is just a little sidebar as far as our friendship,
Mm-hmm.
that you let me in to what was going on pretty much on all
Mm-hmm.
areas.
Mm-hmm.
But even at work, sometimes you would come and say, "Hey, write this for me."
Mm-hmm.
I can't write. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, this, I don't like this.
Right.
Because I used to get good penmanship
Right.
awards in school, and I'm like, wait a minute, my handwriting look like chicken scratch. So, that was I went in the hospital. They did the steroid treatments, and then came home, and it was like, okay, I okay, let me rewind. So
Okay.
the neurologist that sent me to the hospital,
Right.
because I had two neurologists. I had went from one doctor to another one just to get a second opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stayed with him initially because I just felt like he was going to be good for me.
Right.
But he wasn't.
Okay.
But I didn't want to go back to the other doctor for whatever reason. I was
Yeah,
just
that's
like,
just
I didn't want to do that because I had left.
yeah.
And so the thing with the current doctor was, he was like, you need to be on medication because I don't want you in a wheelchair. And I was like, well, why aren't you asking me about my diet? Why aren't you asking me about other stuff? And so anyway, he was my last resort. So he put me in the hospital. He admitted me. And I left the hospital, came home. I called the other doctor that I had left and got an appointment to go see him. And when I went to see him, he remembered me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I am so sorry.
Right.
I said, I'm so sorry I left. He was like, no worries. He's like, no, don't even do that. And so he sat me down. And the thing about him, he was a very, very thorough doctor. And the reason I left his office initially was because the appointments were taking so long, because he is so thorough.
Right.
And he would bring you out of the examining room and take you into his office and
Right.
one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, he said, well, I said, well, what do you recommend? I said, now that I've had this for this amount of time, no medication. He said, well, I do recommend medication as therapy. And I said, well, what do you recommend? I said, because I know that there are side effects to so many.
Right.
So I had pamphlets from the previous doctor. I had like 3 pamphlets.
Right.
One was a pill, one was an infusion, and one was injection.
Mm-hmm.
Self-inject. So he went over the side effects of all of them, and I was like, okay, I don't want that one.
Right.
But no, it was like, if I need that one, then that's the one I need to take. But at the time, it was like, I don't want to take medicine, but I had to come to the resolve that even though I was believing God for healing, I didn't have to prove God was who he was by not taking medicine.
Exactly.
Because he can do whatever.
Exactly.
He can do anything.
Yeah.
However he wants. And I didn't have to help him. I didn't have to, be here. This is what I need you to do because God's going to. No. So anyway, he gave me the side effects of all of them. And so I said, okay, well, let me take these and let me go call my insurance companies just to make sure they're going to cover.
Mm-hmm.
So I get back to the office and I call, and only one out of the three they covered, and that was the one that had side effects that were like site injection irritation, what's it called, flushing, little bitty things that were happening. But it was like, that's the one. That was my answer. But then at the same time, I was like, okay, okay, medication, for the rest of my life, maybe. Yeah. But then it was also where I think I shared with you how I went to Bible study because I was still praying about what to do, even though it was right there in my face.
Right. That's right. That's right.
So I'm still like, God, I want to make sure this is what you want me to do. So went to Bible study, and the message that night was on Naaman and how Naaman had leprosy, and he went to the prophet thinking the prophet was just going to miraculously heal him. And he didn't, and he sent him to dip in the Jordan 7 times. But he thought, oh, it's going to be like that.
Right.
And that was like, that's why I say I didn't have to prove God was who he was by doing what I thought I should do by not taking medication.
Right.
So after that, I was just like, okay, I'm taking medicine.
Faith without works. We still got work to do.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you don't believe in God.
Right.
Yeah, his healing powers are.
Exactly.
So, yeah, faith without works.
Yeah.
So, with that, with the medicine that you're taking, are there any side effects?
I haven't had, like I said, with the injection, which I auto inject. It's the auto inject. It's you put the needle in the pen, count down 10 seconds, and you're done.
Right.
Only thing I've had is site irritation. That's only if I don't do it right.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And the reason I say only if I don't do it right, if I don't put it into like fatty tissue and try to put it into muscle, then oh yeah, it's a little aggravating. And it's like it don't go all the way in, and I experience flushing.
Right.
And let me tell you, that is no joke.
Okay, have your own personal summer.
That's what it feel like. Cause it's like, oh my God. And then I tell Isaac, okay, I'm finna have one of them. But I've only had like maybe 4.
Right.
Because I know now if I don't put it in the fatty tissue, that'll happen. And if I don't let it get
if you don't let it get room temperature. 30,
yes, it has to
30
get room
minutes
temperature.
at least. Yeah.
And it's like, that's basically it. Now the very first time I did the injection, and I was here by myself when I did it. And I was like, okay, here I go. The nurse had came and she had walked me through it. So that night it was my time to do, well, not that night, but the night it was time for me to do it. And I was getting ready for bed and I said, I'm gonna do my injection. And I injected, and I don't think I had let it get room temperature.
Okay.
I thought I was having a heart attack. I said, okay, it didn't get room temperature, so I won't do that again.
Yeah. So.
But other than that, and I will say this, because I haven't had any more lesions to appear whenever I do my MRI, and I don't have any other symptoms that have shown themselves, I sometimes forget about it.
Exactly.
It's like I have no consciousness of it.
It's almost like, okay, I know I have this, but it doesn't have me.
Right. It doesn't have me. That's why when people ask me, well, how is your MS? I said, well, it's not mine, but the diagnosis of MS.
Exactly.
But it's not mine. I don't take ownership of it. Yeah.
Okay, so I know there was a time when you mentioned it. I was like, oh, we should just be quiet about this. But anyway, you mentioned it about when you were running. I know that you ran a running club, Black Girls Run.
Yes.
also know that you taught at the Y
Mm-hmm.
cycling for a while.
Yes.
So with MS,
Mm-hmm.
um, are there things that you can't do that you used to do, or are there things that have slowed up, or you have to do them differently now?
Things have slowed up. I do them differently now because I've realized it doesn't take all of that to
Hmm.
really take care of myself
Right.
health wise.
Hmm.
So where I was doing all the spinning, which I still have a spin bike and I
Right.
get on it and I spin, but I don't do the hardcore like sessions like I
Right.
used to
Right.
because it is easy to get, oh, whew, that was just too
Yeah.
much.
So it wasn't my fault if you don't do this much, because I get on now, I'm 5 minutes in, I'm done.
And see, I can get on for 5 minutes now.
Uh-huh.
And that's the thing, realizing where you are, what works for you, and being okay with it.
Okay.
And I'm okay with it. I do want to get out and run again
Right.
because I did
You
enjoy
enjoy it.
it,
Yeah.
but I haven't gotten there yet.
All right.
But I think once the fall hits,
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna get back out there because right now it's just hot.
Okay, with that, what you said you want to get back out there, and because I know you enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
So those things that whether it helped you make the decision, the MS or whatever, to pull back or refrain or slow up, how did it affect your mentality?
For a minute there, I felt like because I'm not doing all that,
Right.
that I'm gonna gain a lot of weight. Um, I felt like I needed to be doing that in order to get what I thought would be results. And then in my mind, it's like, you ain't doing nothing. You ain't doing nothing.
Did you ever feel, I mean, blatantly
Depressed or
defeated or
mm,
in that area?
I don't think I did because I would always make a conscious decision to do something,
Right.
even if it was just getting on the treadmill for 5 minutes.
Right. Okay.
I would do
So
something.
yeah,
Like even now, I may not do any kind of what it
cardio.
cardio, but I'll go stretch.
Yeah. Hmm.
I'll do some me and Jasmine got our bounce, our rebound, our
That's right.
trampoline.
That's right.
I'll go bounce on that, and that's good for your lymphatic system and all that good stuff. So I just do what I feel like helps me
What helps you?
right now. Yeah.
Okay. Your support system.
Hmm.
How's your support system? And if you could massage it
Hmm.
to be exactly what you need, how would you do? How what would that look like?
Okay, so my support system is amazing. So of course, got my mom, got my dad, and even though me and my sister don't talk that often, she still knows
Right.
what goes on with me. And my husband, of course,
Right.
my honey. As far as them knowing, I have to sometimes tell them I'm okay because they get to a heightened point where it's like you don't need to be.
Right. Right.
I'm okay.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm okay. I'm not gonna push myself further than I have to. Now, if I had to massage it and make it, what was the question? Make it like the
Exactly. Or just that
exactly.
role that you want it to be.
I
How would
think
you
I have
want it to look
it.
like? Okay.
I do because
That's fair.
I asked Isaac. When I'm doing my injection most nights because I do it before I go to bed, and we're not recently, but we've been at times where we're getting ready for bed at the same time.
Right.
Or I might be doing my injection and he's in the bathroom.
Right.
And I say, you watching so you can I say
Oh
you
Lord.
I say you watching so you can see if you ever have to
Have to.
do this
Right.
for me. And he was like, yeah, but I ain't gonna have to. He said, yeah, but I ain't gonna have to. And I said, and I asked him, I said, what I take, how many,
Right.
and all them drugs in the refrigerator. I
Absolutely.
hadn't even ordered in probably 2 months because I got a refrigerator full of stuff,
Right.
which I'm grateful for.
Mhm.
But I say, it has to be, I give him the instructions,
Right.
directions on in the event that you have
Right.
to. But
He's like, just call to everybody will do it.
He's like, I ain't gonna have to do
He
that.
is such a good guy, y'all.
Yeah, he said he ain't gonna have to do it, and he would do
He's
it.
claiming that.
Yes,
Over
exactly.
that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I pray that he
Support
doesn't have
him.
to do that.
Yeah. So, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the last question for this, and
Okay.
then you can say what you want to say.
Okay.
What advice, what word,
Mm-hmm.
what picture would you want to paint to show the world just how victorious Wakenia is?
Mm-hmm.
And so, if there are other, and there are other Wakenias that can fill in their name,
Mm-hmm.
how victorious you could be with this.
A word.
Yeah, you need advice, what word, how if you want to paint
Okay.
a picture, however you want to
Yes.
say it,
Yes.
that the other people they can just fill their name in,
Mm-hmm.
how victorious they could be.
Yeah. Um. Whenever I mention MS in my mind, I'm always, because it's MS, and I've heard this from somebody else. My story,
Mm-hmm.
and I am a warrior. I'm a warrior, and I've been blessed to do in the physical what some people have not. And even though you may not have the physical capabilities, always have the mindset of I am a warrior no matter what. I may not be able to, there may be times where if you're diagnosed with MS and you can't walk, because I know people
Yes,
that
that is.
have not been able to walk and had to relearn walking, walking with a cane, in a wheelchair,
Yes.
lost their sight, just all different. Like we were talking about the spectrum of sarcoidosis
Yes.
and lupus. There's a spectrum,
Right.
and there's people here. There's people everywhere. But I feel like with me being able to still move and have the ability to not be so like restricted,
Right.
I do what I do for those that can't. And I say that every time I do an MS walk. I do this because whatever your name is, that's the thing.
That's the thing.
I do this because Maria can't.
Right.
Or I do this because James can't. Whatever your name may be, whatever you can
Do it.
do it and say I do this because whoever cannot do it.
Right.
So you just keep other people in mind, and that's what I've been so blessed to be able to continue to
That's right.
not look like what I may be going through. So yeah.
So I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna give Joaquin the floor, and she can close us out.
Mm-hmm.
Say what she wants to say.
Yeah.
Um, so we wanted to try to give y'all a better look. Maybe not so pretty things that go on with us.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I'm really thankful to God is that our paths crossed. And I'm not, well, I guess, yes, I am. I'm thankful that with your journey and my journey,
Mm-hmm.
that we've been able to exist, survive, and live.
Right.
I'm thankful that we were able to, so many things we've done. We didn't do, what was that we did? We used to come and do exercises.
Oh,
And some days we put our all in it. Some days we
on our
like
lunch break, we
on
used
my
to come here and do
lunchtime.
exercise.
And really, I mean, dress. I've got
Dress out,
clothes. You know, we change clothes, dress out. We've swam before. We've done all this.
Yes.
But the one thing that I want people to see is only during crisis do we ever talk about what she has or what I have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We
We don't.
just try to live
Mm-hmm.
and have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to be honest. I'm hearing you say that you put in that I want to do this so Maria,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because she can't.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about it that way. I just wanted and I'm sure it's the same with you, but
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted God to be victorious in what people see in me,
Right. Yeah.
not what man has said I had.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thankful that we've been able to continue to walk this journey together,
Yeah.
and that we both know that, yeah, that's what we have, but it
It
doesn't
doesn't
have
have
us.
us.
So
Not.
let Wakenia close this out.
I was just thinking, okay, so the color for MS is orange. I didn't even want to put this. I didn't want to even think about that. I'm about to tear up. I didn't even think about that this morning when I put the blouse on. But just know that it's important to have a support system.
Yes.
With whatever you may be dealing with. If it's MS, if it's loop, whatever that autoimmune disease is, or whatever it is you're dealing with, make sure you have a support system. And if you don't have a support system in your immediate circle, there are organizations out there that have people going through the same thing, dealing with the same thing you're dealing with. And I just want you to be victorious in whatever it is. Consider yourself a warrior. Tell yourself, I am a warrior. And this is my story. And I have a tattoo, y'all. I designed the tattoo.
She does. She has a tattoo.
It's a butterfly. And it says, keep smiling. And myelin is the myelin sheath. It's spelled like myelin. And the reason I chose that, because it is a conversation piece. Because when people see that, what they say, keep smiling. Well, that ain't how you say smiling. No, it's not. But then they ask me why that, what does it mean? And I can share it. And then it gives them perspective of, oh, you don't look like,
Right.
but I can share. And then that opens the door to so many other conversations and relationships.
Yeah.
And so that's how I look at it. So I just want to encourage you to just keep fighting the good fight.
That's right.
Fight the good fight of faith. Trust God. Know that He got you no matter what it is that you're dealing with, and you will win. You're already a winner. All right. So here we are again, keeping it real with Wakenia and T. Love y'all. Bye.
Have a blessed day.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and hit that bell for notifications.